Perhaps I should start by saying that the Africa that we want is not a distant dream. It is something that can be actually achieved. It is very well defined in the Agenda 2063. It's really about inclusive growth. It's about good governance. It's about peace. It's about shared prosperity. So to me, the Africa that we want is not something that that needs more defining. It is more about how do we deliver it. And to deliver that, one of the areas I feel like we are not doing enough is really to build our capacities. And when I talk about capacities, I want to talk about human capacity in terms of skills, competencies, and other soft skills that are extremely important, particularly around the sense of service, the inclusiveness, the transparency and accountability is really important. Because also, because of the gaps in those areas, we are seeing also the continent losing extremely important resources to illicit financial flows, which is a lost opportunity. But it's also about strengthening institutions, institutions that are functional, that are actually effective in carrying over their mandate. And lastly, connecting, producing, disseminating knowledge, connecting people to that knowledge and connecting people more to people. I think those are really important. Now, to your point about offshoring or onshoring, it is an opportunity, right, by which operations are relocated in quest of maybe cheaper labor, maybe other resources that enable that. But to me, it's an opportunity, but not in an even way everywhere in Africa. Because some places have electricity, which is extremely important for manufacturing. Others have maybe no electricity or extremely expensive electricity to the point that it's not competitive. In Africa, we have a wealth of well-educated people, but a shortage of skilled workers, the medium, particularly in manufacturing. This is also something that I think needs to be also prioritized. But I think that one of the really important, also, Africa is a rich continent, right? But most of these resources are actually just exported as commodities. No value added. So that capacity building is about really looking at how do we harness these resources? How do we add value to them, right? And building an indigenous industry, actually, that also can serve and commerce with the world. But to me, when you go between a dream and results, the missing link is capacity. And that's where we are not investing enough. I work in this area, but one of the things I have noticed is that for most of the capacity building needs, I think that most countries, many recognize the need for capacity building, but this is something to be funded by others. And I believe that it's important that this is be prioritized and countries investing in it, because that's really what will enable to transform the dream into measurable results and transformation. Thank you. Thank you. The question of how integration, can we drive that more, that supports the delivery of the Africa we want, I think relates a little bit about my previous panel when I spoke about really how we can address the hindrances about integration and collaboration among Africans to achieve what Ndidi is calling that one voice, one resolve. Oftentimes when we pitch about Africa's potential, we talk about a continent of 1.4 billion people, continent and all of that. Yes, it is, but it's not one market. It is a continent already divided in 55 countries, 55 regulations, 55 everything. So it is the most fragmented, actually, market. Luckily, of course, we have now the AFCFTA, which by now is being ratified. I think it's already ratified by many people. But I think that this will work only if we also work on regional blocks that have been here before as well. Indeed, you and I come from a regional bloc called ECOWAS that is often cited as the most integrated regional bloc. Yet, until today, the idea of that integration is not, since 1975, right, until now, is still not a reality, right? Mobility, even within ECOWAS, even if it is probably better than many other regional blocs, right? You can still see the problem with the movement of goods, with the movement of capital, etc. The movement of entrepreneurs and investors. I believe that our investment strategies and codes at the national level probably favors more investors from outside of Africa than investors from other fellow African countries. So this is why I talked about really harmonizing institutional frameworks to work together. The other thing I want to talk about is we talk about also the Africa we want. This means also that fragmentation is really important because it's really about also countries implementing what they agree and decide at the African Union. Today, if you look at the study, shows that it's less than 30% of African Union decisions that are actually implemented by member states. So that if we have to really play on that integration, actually we need to actually work on that better. Finally, I think that it's all about really leadership and coming together and having a strong representation and that strong voice. And having an agenda strong that actually looks at also how do we work with others, right? So I think those are really important elements that we need to bring together. It's really going from a market with 54 or 55 regulatory frameworks and individual projects to really opening up that to the content. I believe that actually the young generation, what we call the Gen Zs and the others, actually with their new mindset and abilities and the way they see the world, I see really an opportunity for them to actually helping bring the continent together more than us, the older generation, which really hang on to the national flags and etc., more than we look at the continent as a whole and continue to perpetuate Africa as we inherited it from 1886, rather than, you know, making it work and harness the potential it has today. Thank you. If I may add very quickly, one of the biggest challenges with those sort of conventions, whether it is at the regional or Pan-African continental level, is actually we don't always go all the way. What happens is actually these conventions are signed, they are ratified by the parliaments, they are even promulgated by the heads of states into laws. But then that's oftentimes where we stop. We don't go and reform and revise, domesticate those by revising national laws, national policies, actually to integrate that. That's number one. Number two, we don't go and really developing the playbooks of people, for people who are meant to implement this on a day-to-day basis. You know, the way the customs officer behaved before whatever that convention is, was signed, is the same as of today. Yeah. Because this is not being implemented in a very practical way. We think that when we have signed, it's done. No, we need a little bit more, and this comes really, again, to what I was saying, which is the capacity to actually implement. Thank you.